You're asleep, fully out. Not the light doze where you'd hear a twig snap 2 miles away. The deep kind, where your body has gone completely offline and your brain is somewhere else entirely. And right now, a few feet away, on the other side of a thin nylon wall, something is standing over your tent. It's not moving. It's not making a sound. It's just there. Close enough that if you woke up right now, you'd be able to smell it before you saw it. Close enough that it's already smelled you, already heard your breathing, already made a decision about what happens next. So what actually happens in that moment? Does it attack? Does it wait? What's going on in the 4 or 5 seconds where a wild animal stands 3 feet from a sleeping human and does absolutely nothing? That's what we're actually going to break down. Not the scary campfire version. The real one. The predator isn't guessing. It's gathering information, and it's gathering an enormous amount of it in a very short window. Your scent hits first, a strange mix of synthetic fabric, leftover food, soap, sweat, and underneath all of that, something faintly primate. Not quite right. Not matching anything in its hunting template. Then your shape. Even lying down, a human silhouette doesn't read like the prey this animal has spent its whole life learning to recognize. No forelegs. No familiar outline. Something off. Then your breathing, slow, rhythmic, but occasionally catching, shifting, moving in ways deer and rabbits and elk don't move when they sleep. This is the part almost nobody talks about. Predators don't attack the instant they detect something. They evaluate first. Every good hunter, human, or animal, does the same thing before committing to anything. It reads the situation. And what it's reading right now doesn't add up cleanly. Which means before anything else happens, there's a pause. A real, biological pause. So what happens during that pause is the actual answer to the question. Here's what's running through that animal's nervous system in the next few seconds, and it's more calculated than people assume. Predators don't get sick days. They don't get stitches. An injury in the wild isn't an inconvenience. It's often a death sentence, just a slow one. So every predator, from a mountain lion to a hyena, is constantly running a silent equation. Is this worth the risk? And a sleeping human fails that equation almost immediately. First, unpredictability. This animal has hunted deer 1,000 times. It knows exactly how a deer bolts, which direction it kicks, how it panics. It has never hunted you. It doesn't know if you'll wake up screaming, thrashing, throwing something, standing up to a height it didn't expect. Uncertainty, to a predator, is not exciting. It's expensive. Second, size and posture. Even lying down, there's something about the shape of a human body that doesn't match easy meal the way a smaller, 4-legged animal does. Stand one of us up, and we get taller, more upright, more like the threat displays predators use on each other rather than the shape of something they hunt. Third, and this is the quiet one, is it even worth it? Somewhere nearby there's probably a rabbit, an impala, a deer. Something familiar. Something the animal already knows how to catch without gambling its own survival on an unknown target. Right now, standing outside your tent, the math isn't adding up in your favor, but not in the way you'd think. It's not adding up in its favor to engage you. This is usually where it ends. Quietly, without you ever knowing it happened. The animal backs off. Not out of kindness. Animals don't operate on kindness. But because thousands of generations of predators who did engage with humans carelessly didn't survive to pass that behavior on. The ones who kept their distance did. That caution is baked into the nervous system now. It's instinct, not decision-making in the way we'd think of it. And here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you a little. You might have actually helped make this decision without knowing it. Human sleep isn't as deep as it feels. Your brain runs a kind of night watch during lighter sleep stages, flagging unfamiliar sounds, shifts in air pressure, the low crunch of something moving nearby. You might have stirred, shifted, made a small sound without ever fully waking. And that alone, that flicker of this thing isn't fully unconscious, can be enough to tip the animal's decision the rest of the way toward retreat. By morning, you have no idea any of this happened. You just wake up, unzip the tent, and go on with your day. Now, and this part matters, because the story isn't always this clean. The attacks that do happen almost never involve a healthy predator making a normal decision. They involve something that's already broken the usual rules. The Tsavo lions in Kenya in 1898 killed dozens of railway workers over several months, and one of the 2 lions later examined had severe dental damage, likely making normal prey far harder to catch. The Champavat tiger, responsible for hundreds of deaths in India and Nepal in the early 1900s, was later found to have 2 shattered canine teeth from an old gunshot wound. It physically couldn't hunt the way it was supposed to anymore. These weren't typical predators making typical choices. They were animals pushed by injury, starvation, or habitat loss into a corner where the normal risk calculation stopped applying. The rule holds almost universally, until something forces it not to. This is the part that's actually useful, because you're not powerless in this equation either. Fire remains one of the most effective tools you have, not symbolically, but biologically. Fear of fire is close to universal across land animals, wired in so deep that even lab-raised animals with zero exposure to it show avoidance behavior. A campfire isn't just warmth. It's a signal. Sleeping in a group matters too. Predators hunt for separation, the isolated individual, the one cut off from the herd. A group of humans, especially one that wakes up and responds together, is a far less appealing target than a lone sleeper. And the boring stuff, securing food, not leaving scraps out, not habituating animals to human presence, matters more than almost anything else. Nearly every documented case of a normal predator turning aggressive traces back to an animal that learned humans equal food. That one shift rewires the entire calculation we just walked through. So here's the actual answer to the question. Most of the time, when a predator finds you sleeping, nothing happens. Not because you got lucky, but because the decision was already made before you ever opened your eyes. Somewhere in that animal's nervous system, 10,000 generations of inherited caution looked at you, ran the numbers, and quietly decided you weren't worth it. You didn't survive the night by chance. You survived it because, without knowing it, you were never really the prey in that story. You were the variable every predator on the planet has spent thousands of years learning to be careful around. That's not luck. That's inheritance.